Greetings, friends. Your cartoonist pal Stan here with my good buddy Owen K.C. Stevens for
Hi, folks.
more Convo on the Couch to go with this year's Gen Con Game Fair.
Right.
you know you sound like you've been at Gen Con even though you haven't. That's what
Well,
Sunday afternoon sounds.
if I'd been at Gen Con, I'd be damp now.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I was just looking at some of the pics of various things that happened at Gen Con this year, like the exhibit hall springing a leak and the Omni lobby flooding.
And the beer garden being blown away. Just in case anyone doesn't know, there was a tornado warning, not a tornado watch, but a tornado warning. Apparently, the creepiest, most frightening moment was when thousands of people's cell phones went off with alerts all at once,
Yeah.
which certainly sounds like a horror movie or drama, action, sci-fi type movie moment. Uh, Last I heard, while there was rotation, there's no confirmation that anything touched down, and it didn't rain for long, but it rained a lot. Manhole covers were being pushed up by the flow through city drains. The basement of the convention center sprung a leak where people were supposed to be sheltering from the storm. Several interior chambers had what appeared to be just rain falling through the ceilings. Um, yeah, and uh, some people had product out at the Lucas Oil, and it it was not being protected as stuff rained down on it. So no telling what all got damaged. Obviously, people were inconvenienced. Last I heard, no one was hurt, which is, of course, the most
That's
important thing.
that is the most important thing.
But I have seen a lot of people who, like us, were not at John Con going, the FOMO's not as bad as it was yesterday.
It's not really missing out on, not fearing missing out on, more like fearing being there.
So, yeah.
Yes, and I also, just before I came on, I saw you had forwarded the post, so I also re-forwarded it. The Gen Con drone show,
Yes.
that was pretty cool. That's
I've got a post up. Someone made a video of it. I've got it up on Facebook. Uh, on the offhand chance that you don't know how to find me on Facebook, it's Owen K.C. Stevens is my Facebook page, and there was a D&D drone show that had Red Wizards of Thay and Beholders and all sorts of cool stuff looming over the night sky, looking particularly ominous with the storm clouds in the background.
yeah, it
Uh,
certainly syncs up with the tornado. When
yeah, no, it's nice. But also, I really appreciate it was a drone show because I am increasingly unimpressed with the value of fireworks in urban areas where people with PTSD and people with pets and the explosions just aren't as much fun as they were for me when I was in my 30s.
Yeah, you know what? I was never a fireworks fan, even when I was younger. I just didn't really see, and it's not like I had anything particularly against them, but I never really saw the big value. I didn't never got really excited about them, and particularly if I was close enough to be within the thump zone. I just
Uh
didn't
huh.
like it. I just didn't like it, and the smell and the yeah. So the whole advent of drone shows, I'm all for that.
And I actually, a well done drone show, and there have certainly been terrible ones,
Oh yeah,
uh, can be a good deal more interesting, right? Stuff can move.
yeah,
Uh, you can have pretty much everything except the big loud boom. So
and since they usually have some kind of audio thing to go along with it, they can make a boom. Sure, Here's a boom, boom. But the other thing is here in the Seattle area, where they tend to do their fireworks shows and around the Space Needle, there is always a problem of the the smoke just clouding out so you can't see the show. And on misty days or nights or nights with not any wind, it can get like within the 5 minutes of the start of the show, you all you see is a cloud that's lighting up from the inside.
which can be cool all on its own, but
Yeah, but it's
people didn't go to see a lit up from the inside
yeah,
cloud show. They went to see a fireworks show.
yeah. Drone
And
shows much better.
for those of you that don't know, predicting the weather in any one location in Seattle is tricky. It's covered in what are referred to as microclimes. Uh, I more than once I have when I was living out there, I would have the situation where I'm like, "Wow, this blizzard is really whiting out the area," and someone 2 miles away will be like, "Well, I was told there would be snow, and I don't see any."
And someone else is like, wow, it's 70 degrees here.
Yeah, precipitation in particular, and mist and drizzle are nearly ubiquitous.
Yeah, ain't it nice?
I do miss it. I prefer good Oklahoma thunderstorms, but
So it's funny. I'm looking at my camera, and I was noticing when we were talking last time that I have. It looks like I have a bruise here. When I go, well, it looks like I might have a bruise right under there. And so I finished. I'm like, did I like cut myself shaving in a weird way? And I went. It turns out, no, I don't have either. That's just shadows. So I'm gonna have to re-examine what my lighting situation is like, so it doesn't look like I'm being you know, someone's been threatening me with a switchblade.
or just work that story into every stream.
Right. Look at looks like a really bad bruise under there.
Yeah, my lighting situation has its own challenges at the moment.
Yeah. Well.
Oh.
So Owen, any other Gen Con news come tumbling out since Friday?
Yeah. Um, the one that I am most directly connected to is an announcement that came out from Green Ronin. They are going to be launching a Kickstarter for Nobunaga's Black Castle, which is described as a Sengoku Doom Metal Fantasy TTRPG. It is compatible with Morkborg, though it is also its own standalone. This was a big hit in Japan, and Green Ronin is licensing it to bring it out into English. So, Sengoku Doom Metal Fantasy from Green Ronin from Japan. And there's a preview page so that you can go sign up. If I was really clever, I would have figured out a tiny URL. But you can just do a search for Nobunaga, that's Nobunaga, Black Castle Kickstarter, and it'll come up. And it is, I'm not sure how, it is Doom lush visually. It's got a lot of style just built into the graphics and the visuals.
Well, I mean that the whole Mork Borg is very as a oeuvre. It, it's very graphics heavy, graphics intensive.
Have you played any Morkborg?
I have not, but I've read a bunch of Mork Borg.
I'm sort of the other way. I haven't played a bunch. I have played Morkborg. I haven't actually otherwise read any. I pretty much sat down and had a GM tell me what to do, and that worked fine as far as, you know.
Yeah. Hey, Malix, nice to talk about. There's a third legend in our chat room, and David Schwartz. Good to see you guys. Thank you for popping on a Sunday, coming to hang out with us. celebrate end of Gen Con. Gen Con, the um, exhibit hall is going to wrap up in about 45 minutes, if I'm doing my time conversions correctly.
That sounds right.
So yeah, maybe we're the unofficial countdown to the end of Gen Con, and then the
What?
first after party.
Woohoo! In my experience, Gen Con after parties tend to be people sitting around trying to hydrate very quietly, decompressing.
Yeah.
Gen Con can be a lot. Um, I miss it, but it's a lot.
Yes. No, it's not a. By the time Sunday afternoon rolls around, very, very glad to just go sit somewhere for a while.
Anytime, anytime I was at Gen Con and I could arrange it, I would not head home until Monday so that I could quietly decompress Sunday in one place and handle travel the next day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of course, now showing up at Gen Con, people are showing up more and more on Tuesday. So it starts to become an entire week. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, you know what? The last few times I went, I did show up on Tuesday, mainly because I wanted to be there for Diana Jones Awards Wednesday night. And
Right?
coming from the West Coast, in order to get there and arrive in time to do an evening thing, you you either had to leave at 4 in the morning
Mm-hmm.
or go the day before.
The very last time I went, which was 2019, I was living in Evansville, Indiana. So on Wednesday, we hopped in the car and drove up there. And I drove there many times from Oklahoma, which is a can be done in one day, but it's like 14 hours of driving. Um, so I would generally make it in two passes.
Yeah.
But I mean, I do remember one year, my friend Carl and I went to Gen Con, and Sunday, early in the day, like late morning, looked around and were like, yeah, there's nothing left we want to do. We've talked to everyone, we've had lunch. Let's start home.
Let's go.
And we should have made it two passes, but we got really punchy, stupid tired when we were like less than an hour from home. And we were like, we can make it. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. There's no one else here on the road. It'll be fine. And the next day, we contacted each other. No, we shouldn't have.
It was fine. You made it. You woke
But
up the next day with a realization that was a bad choice.
it's a bad call, Stan. It was a
It's a bad
bad.
call, Ripley. It's a bad call. Um. Paul Reiser. What's he doing these days?
I don't know. It wasn't long ago that I was talking to someone about Paul Reiser on one of the sitcoms he was on, and someone said, "You ever seen Aliens?" And his character responds, "Only the second one." Uh, I have this weird theory about a whole bunch of iconic movies that people have made franchises out of, and Alien fits in this category, um, and Predator and Terminator and RoboCop, where the first two are both pretty darn good. And everything after that is in general bad.
Yeah.
And it's just weird to me that that is consistently the case. Like what force is out there that allows two good movies to get made and then settles down to prevent a third, fourth, fifth, or sixth from being any good at all?
I mean, Aliens is an interesting one uh, because totally there's such a big shift between the two, right? The director, the only person who is the same is Sigourney Weaver,
Yep.
who, although being the main character, is not really what drives whether or not the movie will be good, right? You've got
Yeah,
two
Sigourney
different.
Weaver's good in everything she shows up in that franchise.
Yeah,
It's other elements that let her down.
right. Yeah, no, she's great. I think even in the worst of worst of the movies that she's in, she's great in them.
Hmm.
Um, but the the difference between a James Cameron and a first director. It's Sunday Chenko. My name's not working. Um, Come
Ridley
on,
Scott.
Ridley Scott. Yeah, yeah. I mean, the difference between them, the difference between what kinds of movies they are. There's no reason to believe one would lead to being good or being equally good. That was going to happen. And then after that, I don't know. I mean, they had David Fincher, really good director, not so good a movie.
And Alien Resurrection there are sections of Alien Resurrection that are really good. There are parts of that movie I enjoy very much, but it's not great.
Yeah,
In the totality, it's not great.
that's actually being a little kind. In the totality, it kind of stinks.
Uh,
But there are parts of it that are terrific.
and then there's this huge time gap, 15 years, until Prometheus,
Ugh.
which is a bad movie. Prometheus is a bad movie. And again, you can see that there are elements there.
There are elements that are terrific, but
Um, right. Yeah.
I didn't even bother seeing the stuff that came after Prometheus.
Uh, Alien Covenant is fine. Uh,
Prometheus was not that bad. Prometheus was that bad.
yeah. I mean, I know there are people that like Prometheus. I do. But I had trouble the split second that the person with the map, with the three-dimensional scanning map, uh, is the one that gets lost. And there is no explanation as to why his three-dimensional scanning map can't walk him back the way he came in. Yeah, everyone in Prometheus is bad at their job.
Right.
Photographer gets lost. The biologist is the first to get bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but there are also elements of it that just don't make sense. On top of that, like they seem to want us to believe that the black goo that forms the alien does so during that movie, and yet there are alien, xenomorph iconography in the caves, so they were around sometimes somehow. And some of the best elements about Prometheus were, the development of our final girl, who goes flying off into space, and the promise of that is then
Yeah. Yeah.
famously it has there's a giant starship rolling towards you, and you run directly away from it instead of at a 90-degree angle, so you can get out of the path of the giant starship. Which and it speaks a little bit to David's comment that everyone is bad at their job.
Yeah.
Um, it some of that movie I could forgive if there was just a snippet, maybe Charlize Theron saying, "Look, we had to find people who were technically qualified but willing to sign this. I have no idea what's going on. I don't know what's happening, and I'm willing to give up 20 years of my life for money with no clue what the mission is, and they're not the best at their jobs." And she's the sort of character who would say that.
Yeah.
But no.
Anyway.
I facepalm on that a lot. And then I really, really like the first three quarters of Alien Romulus.
I've heard good things about Romulus, but I
The
think
the first
I gave it up. I said, you know what? No, no more for me. I'm happy with what I've got.
no more Alien. Predator Badlands, which is the most recent Predator movie, I actually will call a good movie. It's not a great movie,
Really?
but it is a good movie.
Hey, speaking of just bad movies,
Sure, I can speak
I
on bad movies for a while.
I recently something some little clip came across my transom that made me on purpose go back and rewatch Cowboys and Aliens.
Uh huh. And
And it's a bad movie. Like I
well,
remembered it was a bad movie. I remembered right. But the thing that I kind of in my gut had a feeling about, and I think turned out to be true, is about the first 25 minutes of it seem like it's launching into what's going to be a great movie, and then it just completely, it basically fails to do anything, and so meanders for another hour and a half, and then
the,
says the end.
for me, the big problem with Cowboys versus Aliens is that it starts as a really interesting western.
Yeah,
As soon as the aliens show up, I'm disappointed and bored. And
right.
anytime the aliens showing up makes things disappointing and boring in an alien invasion movie, you've got a problem.
Yeah, yeah. Like a reverse of Lone Ranger.
I felt similarly by the most recent Hellboy movie, The Crooked Man. The Crooked Man is best when Hellboy's not on screen, when he is not the focus of the action. And that I was happy to watch that movie at home on a streaming service I already possessed, so it didn't cost me any more than my already set up schedule. Um, all right, the last 20 minutes of Cowboy and Aliens.
No, I think he's talking about Lone Ranger.
Okay, yes, yes. The last 20 minutes of Lone Ranger is great. As soon as they start the actual theme,
Yeah,
the Lone Ranger is great. It's a great flipping sequence. The thing with the Lone Ranger is that the script originally had the Lone Ranger fighting werewolves, and then they got rid of that because it was going to be too expensive. Although you can still see little bits of it in the script. And I want a Lone Ranger versus werewolf movie.
yeah.
So in that regard, I am disappointed. Uh,
And if we're lucky, they will not make it with Johnny Depp as Tonto.
yes, if we're lucky. Um, that was a complicated issue for me because I don't feel qualified to be the person to stand up and say who gets to
Hmm.
a native ancestry, and there were groups that appeared to be legitimately native who were embracing him, though other groups very much were not. And the consensus seems to have come down on it was a bad call, Ripley. Uh, but
I
at the time, I don't feel like it's my job to tell people who does and doesn't
well,
get to be.
so I agree. I agree. It's certainly not as like you a privileged, pasty-skinned old male. Not my position. I can set all that aside and just say it was bad. Like forget about any of the judgment of whether or not it was good socially. It was bad artistically.
Well, again, he was great in the last 20 minutes.
Yeah,
He was.
yeah. But how much of that was his stunt double?
Does it matter?
Yes.
I mean, it was his stunt double. That stunt double is doing things inspired by, and plus, I mean, his expression and his antics.
Like Lamas Rex, they didn't make another Hellboy movie. They stuck the name Hellboy on another movie.
I mean, that's based on one of the actual comics, isn't it? The Crooked Man.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, they took the title from and the roughest outline from.
All right.
However, talking about all these alien references, I'm gonna plug someone else's work.
All right.
It's a cartoonist who I've followed for quite a while. British cartoonist named Andy Watson, and he has started putting out small um, zines, just kind of publish himself and do it. And he, maybe I should take it out of the bag. He did one this year called "The Ship's Cat," and it's just filled with drawings he did for his own for fun of Ripley and Jonesy,
Uh huh.
and it's awesome. Folks should look it up. AndyWatson.info is his URL. You can order digital or physical copies of The Ship's Cat, and I highly suggest. I mean, his art may not. He's got a very particular style, and I get that a large number of people won't dig it as much as I do, but I thought that was really cool.
I I have often said that if I was in charge of doing a alien related story, uh, I would I would make it whoever Ripley left Jonesy with for aliens. Because she clearly says not this time. She's not going to put her cat in hypersleep. I don't think. Maybe she does. He's been in it before. But whatever is done with that cat, right? The continuity says Ripley doesn't make it back uh, for at least 200 years.
Right,
Um, and then if that got shut, because I think you have her give it to someone who she works in the loading bay to look after, and then said cat who has faced aliens um, find some other problem to drag their person into. And then if I'm not allowed to do that one, I go to the clone of Ripley 200 years in the future who did survive and we've never done anything with. Let's see, Nate Robbins, Ranger versus Lone Ranger. I shouldn't make fun of people's names. I do it all the time. Versus Werewolf because of silver bullets. That's classic. Did you guys know that the bodyguard of Adolf Hitler carried a silver mace? I did not know that. My dad wrote that into a story. During World War II, there was a U.S. soldier got bit by a werewolf here by gypsies, Romani, one hopes, and then tried to take out Hitler in one of his hidden villas or something and got hit by a silver mace by the bodyguard. It was a big Australian fellow. No, I had never heard that Hitler's bodyguard carried a silver mace.
I, I neither had I.
That's interesting. I would I cannot comment on it without looking into it. Um, Other than to say that if true, it may well have been a ceremonial thing, right? Maces have been used as symbols of office, still are in some places. Um, a lot of sergeant at arms have an official mace, etc. So, but yeah, that is interesting. Something I will definitely be doing.
You will be looking that up later today.
I will be looking that up later, for sure.
Um, I'm still boggling over the photos of the Omni lobby.
Oh yeah,
That
flooding.
yeah.
Uh huh.
Ay, ay, ay.
I mean, it was a mighty storm.
Yeah. I was I was at dinner last night when that text came through, uh, or someone posted about it. I don't know. I think it might have been Chris Pramus's post.
Easily could have been. Yeah. I
I was
was
having
fuming.
a nice dinner.
Let's see. We were. Let me see if I can get this to work. We were.
Look at that.
We were working our way through this.
Nice. How did it go? You were,
I mean, it went pretty well. So the current it's a Pathfinder First Edition game. I for the first time ever, from since the Prestige class existed, back in the D20 D&D days, I have successfully worked a character from first level up to successfully taking the Dragon Disciple Prestige class at 6th level. And the GM has responded to this by having a plot line where I have received a item that has a invitation to draw me. Uh, Nate Robbins says it was just part of my dad's fancy take on things. Sorry for the misinformation. It's
Yep.
okay. These things happen. Um, so in the campaign, a my character is being drawn to a dragon, and there are other dragon apprentices, and we're facing challenges to check my character's worthiness, etc. Uh, we ran into, you could have seen the figure just there, a female fire giant blacksmith who works uh, there at the dragon complex, who said that we had to either pay a toll or face a challenge, and my character responded with, dragons don't pay tolls. And so it was a fight. Uh, but I appreciate that it seems like the plot is my character is going to find a dragon and be his disciple. So my dragon disciple will have a specific dragon that is training me. Um, but having looked at the dragon disciple, I have suddenly realized, and I'm doing Pathfinder First Edition uh, minutia, folks. So if that's boring to you, if you're watching this later, fast forward ahead. Um, the Dragon Disciple is a spectacular prestige class for Blood Ragers because it gives you strength and a D12 hit die, and a Blood Rager doesn't have to take any other classes to qualify for it. They can take, you can have 5 levels of Blood Rager and then hop straight over and keep pumping your strength, and you lose a little base attack bonus, but the amount of strength you get that stacks with everything. If you're doing a 2-weapon Blood Rager, it's kind of spectacular. I mean 2-handed weapon Blood Rager. And at the end of that, you get flight. So that's a big deal in Pathfinder. All right. So for people who are fast forwarding, you can go here.
Come back now. Come back. So I was having dinner with Steve Winter last night, and he was saying that he had been watching our Friday show,
Uh-huh.
and so he said to me, "I was watching the Friday show, and I forget what it was that he. Oh, never mind. He brought up part of our conversation, which I don't think we need to revisit. Um, it was the musical part of our conversation, uh,
Okay.
and he's saying he said he couldn't figure out why he wanted to type in and get involved in the conversation. He couldn't figure out why he couldn't, and he realized he was watching the replay. It's not you. You can't be part of the conversation. It ended.
I actually took my claim for the musical part of our conversation. Someone asked for people's hottest music takes on Blue Sky. So I posted that one since we had just had that conversation.
Yeah, yeah. I'll tell you what. He agrees with me. So
Well, of course he does.
and Jeff Grubb, who was also at the dinner, asked about what we were talking about, and we explained it to him. And um, now, I'll, clearly, we had a bias, but we weren't trying to push that bias. And yeah, I don't know. I don't want to get in this conversation again.
I mean, you are welcome to stack up as much ad hoc, uneducated
Yeah,
personal opinions as you want.
to say, I think it's exactly the opposite. You've got and everyone's opinion is like, yeah, it's a great song, and yeah, it's great to love that more. But the perspective that uh, your your thesis that Aerosmith understood the song better than the Beatles
Ooh, I
does.
did not say understood it better.
Yes.
I said they connected to it better.
Yeah.
Those are not the same thing. I am not sure they were not sufficiently coke-addled that they didn't understand anything. the very fact that their lives were being pulled up from a wreckage at the time is one of the reasons why I think they connected to it better.
Anyway, yes, this is me regretting having brought it up now. If I remembered that's what Steve talked about, I might not have even mentioned that I talked to him about it. But anyway, we were playing Call of Cthulhu last night.
Okay, how'd it go?
So it went pretty good. It went pretty good. Jeff is running, and I don't know if you've ever noticed, but I can be an annoying person to have at the table.
I'll be honest with you, I have never noticed.
I don't get deep into character. I always go off on sidebars, particularly funny ones. and in particular with Call of Cthulhu, I have very strong opinions about what has been done with the game rules, particularly with 7th edition. Um, and yeah, it would be wrong to say it came to a head in the game, but it became clear that Jeff was finding me not only not funny, but making it not fun for him. So I recognized that, and so I dialed it back. Now Steve, on the other hand, who's also in the group, really likes to egg people on. And so he really was doing his best to kind of needle me to get to do back what I had been doing previously. And I noticed that for some reason my doing that was more disturbing to Jeff than other people doing that.
That's because you're so likable.
Yeah, yeah. And I maybe because I draw attention so well, and it takes attention. But the real problems were it didn't stop some of the, and I think I was an exacerbating problem to the fact that this thing he's running has real problems, and I'm pointing them out while they're annoying him.
Yes, that can be frustrating.
Yes,
hey,
and so it didn't stop those things from continuing to annoy him, but I didn't. I did my best not to. I sat there and I think that one of the problems that come up is, in order to stop myself, like I would cross my arms, and part of that probably looks like I'm pouting or just kind of, but I'm not. This is how I'm going to control myself from acting out. The other funny thing to me about that, I don't know that I really should be doing this on a live stream. This is like a private conversation, but I'm going to do it anyway. One of the other funny things about it is, despite being the person that constantly cracking jokes, I was also the person that seemed to always have the best idea of what was going on and how the characters should make advances that actually move the plot forward. Which is one of the reasons why I felt okay about doing it. It's like, look, I'm still involved in the game.
You are throwing Steve and anyone else you were playing with under the bus on a live stream.
Yeah, I am. I'm doing it. And knowing that Steve likely is watching.
Yes.
Either now or later.
Not now, but he will in the future.
So I'll probably hear about this at lunch.
Our guest tried to log in.
Tried to log in?
Are you seeing her?
No.
She tried to log in and got a Chrome error, and now she's trying to pop invite her iPad. You're not seeing anything?
No.
Can you create a new link just to make sure? I mean, I used the link you gave me, which is the link I gave her.
Same link. I don't create the link. That is the link to my green room, my electronic green room. Um, can you resend it and make sure that she got the right one?
Yeah, I actually clicked on it, in fact, and it still works for me.
She maybe try a different browser other than Chrome, although which is strange. This is supposed to be uh, um, Chrome is what they prefer, so
Yep.
weird.
Well, as I said, she's pulling out her iPad. So, for those that don't know what I'm talking about, we're trying to have
Have a guess.
Lynn M. Meyer, on the show. Uh,
Hey, Alex Thomas is here. How's it going, Alex? He wishes we were here at Gen Con. Well, we're we are sorry we're not there too, though we're drier and safer here. How are you doing? How did you get through the whole tornado warning?
uh, Lynn says it now shows her that it is waiting for host.
I I cannot. I mean, as much problems as Max had yesterday, it, that's how it should work. I have no control over that. I don't know what I don't know what I can do. In fact, there is nothing I can do. Um,
Well, I could hop off and we could see if that would let her get in.
uh, you could do that. Um,
All right, I'm going to do that.
all right. Hey, we're
Soft shoe,
trying
see what you can
stuff
do.
live. Owen's gonna disappear.
I'll try and be back later.
Um, yeah, I mean, you can
Ooh,
once you hop off, you can get on and watch,
yeah, absolutely. Let's see
and
how
then
this
you
goes.
know if she doesn't show up too, you come back,
Fair.
and we're gonna see if we get our third guest, our second guest, to come in here. It's you know what? It's a live show. Like we're sitting on a couch in a lobby. We have no control over what happens. All we have control over is how we react to it. Um, Alex, Alex says the con has been the best yet for you. All right, awesome. I know you had a lot of games planned, and other, pretty big schedule. In spite of in spite of the tornadoes. Did Green Ronin? They didn't happen to be under one of those leaky parts of the roof, did they? I hope not. All right, so I'm sitting here and not seeing anyone show up yet. Oh, let's see. What can I do now that I'm all alone? What can I do that's I've already thrown Owen under the bus. I've thrown people I game with under the bus. The funny thing is, in attempting to tell that story about my Call of Cthulhu game, I intended to throw me under the bus by talking about how annoying I was. But in the end, I'm so biased, it really came off talking about how other people just weren't reacting to the wonderfulness that is me. Bleh. I see Owen has made it to the chat room, so that's good. Green Ronin was fine, says Owen. Okay, good. Glad to hear that. Oh, Lynn, I'm now getting Lynn coming in. All right, so hold on. Let's see how this works. Guest is in the chat room, in the green room. I will change the view here. This is so exciting. This is good radio. And I'm gonna assign you to guest 2. All right, Lynn, can you hear me? I more or less can. More important, can I hear you? I cannot hear you. I gotta notice that you are here, but I'm not hearing anything from you. Hmm. So this is an improvement. I guess maybe our show today is troubleshooting. Troubleshooting at Gen Con. Um, I don't know. I don't know. This is a shame because I was very much looking forward to this conversation. Um, I'm glad you got this far. Oh, and can you try and sign on again? Uh, now that Lynn at least is partially here, and see if we can get that going on. See if we can get three, 2.5 people, and then maybe we can round it up to three. Professional, high quality stream. That's us. This is why we do this once a year, or this happens because we only do this once a year. One of those two. What apps am I using? I am using Ecamm. Ecamm Live. Well, it used to be Ecamm Live. Now it's just Ecamm. Um, so, um, Lynn, why don't you log off and try? I'm going to disconnect you here. Why don't you try again? And maybe she can Zoom. That's what I'm thinking. Is I might have to try and set up a Zoom. Um, Lynn can hear me, and her iPad registers that it's sending, but it wasn't sending neither sound um, nor uh, uh, video. Video. That's the thing where you can see. Lynn is trying again. Let's see what happens. Hello, Lynn. Are you here? There you are. I can see you.
Here's, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yes, huzzah!
Woohoo! Second tries a
Uh,
charm. All right, now let's see if we can
I
get
am
Owen back in too.
I am on my iPad because for some reason my desktop didn't want to play nice with your tech.
Yeah, you
So
know what? I had that. I had that problem with Ed Greenwood, where it's almost the same thing, right? It's just a uh, a URL, right? And yet it just wouldn't connect.
it
So
it just
it's
kept
not.
telling me it was something with Chrome
Yeah.
that
Um.
wasn't playing nice.
So yeah. Hi, Lynn. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I'm so happy to hang out with you both.
So why don't you introduce yourself to? Oh, Owen's coming in. Well, let's see if we can get him in too.
Yeah.
Hey,
Hey,
it worked.
Owen.
3 people. Fourth or fifth time's a charm.
you
But
know, at least it's a nice day and I don't have rain coming in through my ceiling, so,
it really
there's
does
that.
lower the bar on one's Gen Con expectations.
Yes, yes. But no, for anybody who might be watching and doesn't know me, I am primarily an editor, but I'm also a writer and a consultant in the world of TTRPGs. Until about 3 weeks ago, I was a full time editor at Paizo. I was one of the folks that unfortunately felt the effects of the diamond situation,
Yeah.
and so now I am back on the job hunt and I am freelancing. And the upside is, hey, a new adventure, right? Um, I'm talking with some really really cool folks, and you never know what awesome stuff waits around the corner. I'm trying to be very optimistic about it and look at it as okay, let's go exploring the universe of games, But so I like I said, I write. I mostly edit. I've got editor brain most of the time, which is not a very glamorous thing, but it's very satisfying
It may
work.
not be glamorous, but boy, is it necessary.
I would never tell tales about some of the things that we've we've worked magic on, but yeah. And even when I'm writing, I always need somebody else to edit my stuff because nobody can really see their own issues
Right.
clearly. You're just too close to it. Every writer is better with an editor.
I have always said I love my editors. They are the only people in the world who are paid to make me look smarter.
Right. Yeah. Their job is to make me look better.
I really tell people who are not sure about, is an editor going to ruin my voice? Is an editor going to take away, my unique perspective? A good editor is there to elevate your voice, is there to really bring out everything that you're trying to do and help you accomplish it in the fullest. If your editor is not doing that, then you really need to look at getting a new editor.
And I think it's very helpful. There are degrees of editing, right? If you're editing for Paizo, you are not trying to protect the voice of the writer so much as you're trying to protect the voice of Paizo, which has a house style and an expectation. And but if you are getting an editor for your personal stuff or where you have final say in what it looks like, make sure to have a conversation with your editor. They if you don't express to them what you're wanting, they have no way of knowing what to polish and what to highlight and what to maybe brush gently under a carpet.
This is true, and I would say honestly, even at Paizo, a lot of our products, for example, the Tiancha, there is a cultural voice
Yes.
that comes through each section. And so I, as somebody who is not a part of any of the cultures that are represented in that setting, it's really incumbent on me to do my homework and be in conversation with the developers, and when appropriate have the developers check with the authors, because there are just some things that, yes, we need to adhere to the style guide, but I also need to make sure that I'm honoring what was intended.
Yeah, that's an excellent point and something I didn't have to deal with when I was at Paizo. Should have had to deal with, but didn't. Um, but that was 7 years ago when I left. So there has been a shift in awareness of some of these things, and by shift I mean greater awareness. Not that people shouldn't have been aware to begin with, but it's just become better understood and more widespread as a best practice.
Definitely, definitely. Um, you know, you left Paizo right around the time that I got started in
Uh
games.
huh.
Um, and even just in the amount of time that I've been doing this work, I've really been fascinated to see the growth and the evolution of understanding when it comes to things like own voices, and representation. So, uh, of course, I mean, I got started with Uncaged Anthology, which really, because of the nature of what it is, made a huge splash in that regard. So, it was a heck of an introduction to being on the creator side and not only a player. Very surreal. 2019 was my only Gen Con. So,
Whew. Gen Con remains a fascinating experience. I was just about to say earlier before we got onto the interior rain at this Gen Con. Uh, it my Gen Con days might be over. I just might not be up to handling 70,000 people anymore.
it's a
I
lot. It's a
yeah.
lot.
I don't. I don't see that a large chance that I'm gonna like go to Gen Con, let alone exhibit anything at Gen Con ever again.
Although you and I are both part of
Right? You never know.
Ascension, which War Chief might want people at Gen Con next year.
Yep.
So, Lynn, to make sure that
Yes.
we cover it, if someone watches the stream live or later and they think, yeah, I want to contact Lynn about work or a job or whatever, Obviously, they can always drop me a line. I'm very public, owen.stevens@gmail.com, and I can put them in touch. Is there any way other than that you would like people to be able to get in touch with you?
I do have a website. It's a card site. I should have that memorized. Almost
I get.
all of my socials, almost all of my socials, I'm very uncreative when it comes to my socials because I want people to be able to find me.
Yeah.
Um, my card is just my first name, Lynnne dash, not an underscore, dash M dash Meyer, Meyer, at card.co. And
Okay.
there's a contact form on there. Um, Highlights of my portfolio. I can't include everything on there. You know, it's funny. I Some years ago, before I started Paizo, I started keeping a record of everything that I've worked on
Yep.
in some capacity, editor, writer, consultant, um, because I was losing track. And so I've been doing this since Uncaged, so published in 2019. And in that time, I am currently, with the things that I'm working on now that are under NDA, I
Yeah.
think I'm at 94 projects, some of which I have more than one credit type. So for some, I've been a consultant and a writer or what have you, and that is really mind blowing for me. So I've just got portfolio highlights on the website. So it's a pretty good example of the range of things that I've worked on. But I'm always looking to work on something new, different clients, and I would love to talk to folks. It's like I said, it's the upside about being free right now is that I get to have conversations with some publishers that I haven't talked to before.
Um, One of the reasons I like doing Convo on the Couch, and hope to do it more often, is that I have been mindful for years and years that a lot of my best networking has happened in person at conventions. Uh, and while I was uh, on chemo and radiation, that was unsafe for me. And there are a lot of people for whom it is economically or medically or sometimes just scheduling wise not viable to go to conventions, who are perfectly capable of doing great freelance or even on staff work. So
Yep.
I think there's still a gap uh,
Yes.
in finding good ways to network with people offline, or
Yeah.
not in person and meet space.
Yeah.
And there's improvements, right? There are discords that are sort of dedicated to it. Um, there are kind of ad hoc networks, and there's things like this. But I still think a better solution is needed, and it's something that I periodically throw my brain jelly at and have yet to ever come up with a solution I really like.
Yeah. Yeah. It's that, Gen Con is overwhelming. 2019, I really didn't know what to expect. And it was just so much. And the thought now, as somebody with a complicated immune system, thank you to long COVID, yay, the thought of being around 70,000 people
Yeah.
is just, I can't do it. I would love to be there and I would love to be cheering on my friends and people I consider colleagues and folks I admire, but I just can't go. I just can't be there. Even if the finances were there, I just can't medically go. So I really appreciate opportunities to hang out and just chit chat on the couch. This is wonderful.
We this grew out of really missing being able to just hang out and talk to people. Michael in chat says, "What can cons do to help pros network at a convention?" So a lot of cons have had virtual conventions sort of in parallel with the normal convention, and can do things like say, "Hey, here's a temporary Discord, or here's a forum, or we have set up some specific place where people can come hang out." I think virtual hangouts that are advertised along with things like seminars and stuff is one thing that cons could do to help pros connect and converse. I know there was not an official but an unofficial networking event at Gen Con this year, and even if
Yes.
there was just an opportunity for people to, I mean, at the most basic, right? Mail us a postcard with your contact information, and we'll put it all on a
Right.
bulletin board, right? Um,
Right.
there are things that could be done. And if any convention wants ideas and someone to help network those things, again, owen.stevens@gmail.com. I'm very public with my connections. And if I'm not the person, and for a lot of things, I am not the person, there's a good chance I know someone who can be that person to help set things up or to advise or to consult or whatever.
And especially now, really, not only is there the medical issue, but there are a lot of people who, for various reasons, do not feel safe traveling to Indiana.
That's absolutely true. I mean, I live in Oklahoma,
And
and I've got dear
so
friends I can't
there,
safely
there,
invite to my state.
it's not a safe place for a lot of people right now. And folks who can't come in person should not be excluded from the opportunity to network. And the added awfulness of it is that whether it's because of a disability, chronic illness, or other factors,
Yep.
we're talking about people that already in general are underemployed, that struggle to find enough work. Um, and then to further that problem by being excluded from networking and professional development opportunities, it perpetuates a problem. And if we really want a game industry that is diverse and brings new voices, we have to figure out a way to get everybody to the table, virtual or otherwise. So it's one of the things that I'm just so passionate about. Because I have my own reasons that I can't go, but I know that I am also sitting with a whole lot of privilege, and there are things that I don't have to worry about, but my friends do.
Yeah,
So,
I completely agree. And the the people with the most reach and power in gaming tend to have everything they need to function, and therefore less motivation uh, to try and change the status quo, because the status quo handles their needs, and changing the status quo takes time and money. That doesn't have to be malicious, but it's again just a people who are already marginalized are further marginalized by the existence of the existing system. Michael in chat asks, has there ever been an RPG professionals conference? There's, of course, the Game Developers Conference, though it focuses on computer games and video games. Stan, you had a thought?
There was for a while the Smog. Remember Smog?
I remember Secret
Mod
Masters of
Con?
Gaming. I absolutely remember it.
That used to happen in Vegas the week before the Gamma Trade Show, when Gamma Trade Show was in Vegas. And there have been other things like that have come along. None of them have ever uh, become big and lasting and reliable. But there have been professional conferences. And part in the end, the biggest challenge that we have to overcome in setting any of these up, all, not denying any of what you said, all of which is correct, is that it is not financially viable. It used to be back when we did do a lot more networking in person. It was also because all of the uh, medium to large size companies were going to 6 or 7 or 8 conventions a year. You didn't
Yep.
have to go to Gen Con, although that was still clearly the biggest ones were the best, but there were medium sized ones that there were sending people out to, and that just has stopped happening. It it stopped being it's too expensive for a company that's already running on margins to do that, and so the number of opportunities has shrunk down in many cases to Gen Con or nothing. And
right.
then all of the problems that we were just talking about just exacerbate because Now this is your only opportunity, and these walls are up, and who's going to fix it?
And
Yeah.
at the same time, those companies have fewer advertising and pre-order options than they used to. So they are sort of more focused on survival mode.
Yeah,
Um, if you're trying to launch a new product, you kind of have to kickstart it. If you're not already known, because that will put some eyes on it. But you don't have the breadth of magazines that you used to have. When I got into gaming, Dragon Magazine was an international uh, paper magazine that you could buy at newsstands with distribution of like 100,000 copies or more,
Yeah.
at least according to the
yeah. The circulation was 100,000 or more.
yeah. And
Plus,
what exists now, generally speaking, is lucky if it manages to get 50 on drive through as a print on demand.
yeah, yeah. The the changes, the digital changes to our milieu have really affected the ability to. It's democratized the ability to reach anyone because you know where they are digitally, but to it's really made it much harder to connect to people and to make offhand kind of casual connections and build them.
I will say that, for me, being somebody who is, immune compromised, so I pretty much, I'm in my apartment, the vast majority of the time. I'm so grateful for things like Discord, because all my friends live in my computer. you
Right.
know?
But I mean, the
Um,
thing, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Please continue.
oh no, it's just, but it's not the same.
Right. The
It,
the thing about
it helps.
a con, or like, and the places we talk about where we met people was they were happenstance. So you would go to the thing, you'd go on purpose, but you wouldn't know who you'd meet, and you couldn't. The as awesome as Discord is, and as a place to meet people, you don't randomly wander into one. You don't happen to meet people. Uh, um, you have to know where you're going, and you have
Yeah,
very often you even need to be invited there.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. It's the difference between wandering through a series of rooms and having a destination and heading to it. If I
hmm
went to a convention, I could easily end up in a place I had no idea existed at that convention. If I'm going to Discord, I only hit those Discords that I am aware of, have received an invite to, etc.
exactly.
I saw a clip the other day from an episode of the Newsroom where it was talking about missing uh, um, encyclopedias because you pick up a volume and thumb through it and find out something you never knew existed. And as much as all the world's information is on the internet, you can't browse like that. You can't randomly, or it may not be impossible, but it's pretty close to impossible. Just kind of randomly find something you didn't know you might want, unless the
hmm
algorithm serves it up to you, and then screw that. And then someone's got an angle on that.
Right, right, yeah.
I I do.
Flashback.
There are
That
wikis.
Alex says he met Jeremy Crawford and Perkins wandering around today. Yeah, these are the kind of
Yeah,
things that happen at a
there are wikis that have a random article function, and I sort of wish Wikipedia had that. And I'm sure there's a extension or something for it somewhere. Um,
well,
but
even Wikipedia has a feeling lucky, or they used to have that, and it
do
just
they?
serves you up a random page. But yeah,
The closest I get now is what I call rabbit holes,
yeah,
right? Where I'm
Yeah.
like, I am looking into currency. Oh, and currency is leading me to this culture that used 600-pound stones as currency, and now I'm reading all about that culture. And that culture had this person connect with them on this kind of ship. All right, well now I'm looking up that kind of ship, and I just end up.
yeah.
But I
I
am. I'm the kid
love
that
it.
had my grandparents had a 1922 Encyclopedia Britannica, full
Mm.
set. And when I would visit them, they lived in the same town as me. I would visit them once or twice a week, most weeks. And one of the things I would do is pull out a volume and flip through the encyclopedia. And there's a lot of weird, esoteric, largely useless knowledge that I picked up that way. And one of the things that was fascinating to me about the 1922 Encyclopedia Britannica is at that time it was covering a small enough amount of information that every living member of the British peerage at the time had their own entry.
Oh, wow.
Uh, that right. So the British peerage was considered that important, and the rest of the information was sufficiently small that happened. I have to see if I can get a cat off the dungeon.
Oh.
So you two talk. I'll be back in a minute.
I want to know what the DC of that is. Report back afterward.
Good. Will do.
I watched your conversation on the couch from Friday, and I saw the size of that cat.
Yeah.
So I imagine
Chunky
that
cat.
The DC must be rather impressive. I have a cat who I was hoping would show up and say hello, but he is sleeping in the other room.
As is a cat's prerogative.
Yeah, so I had to rearrange my desk after I sent back all my piezo equipment, and now everything is nice, and I've got all this extra space, and I'm really happy with it. But the cat decided that meant he had more places to sleep, and he's really fond of trying to flop onto my keyboard. So, with a very kind friend, I now have a desk cat bed, and he loves it. So he's got a dedicated spot now to supervise my work. I call him my assistant editor. So, and he was there until just before I hopped onto the stream. He just does not perform for the camera.
You can count on assistant editors to leave just when the work's about to begin.
Kitty.
Cosmo!
So sweet.
He's a good cat.
My big boy is a tabby.
I don't know if you can hear her coughing in the background, but LJ's in the room as well. So
hello.
Hi, LJ.
Oh, he is beginning to think maybe he does not want to be here anymore.
Oh,
He doesn't want to be an internet star.
too
He
late.
knows how pretty he is, though. Well aware.
So, Lynn, are you working on anything now that you can talk about?
Oh, well, see, that is the key, right?
Yeah.
Things that I can talk about. Well, I will say that something that's been announced already, I can't detail exactly what I contributed to it, but one of the upcoming Paizo books, Unseen World, will have some of my writing in it.
Nice.
So that will be coming out in January, I believe. So that's the second Paizo product that I had the pleasure of writing for, as well as editing. So that I'm very excited about that because that one hit at a time in my life that content was really meaningful.
Yeah.
For me to work on. As I was working on my sections, my mother passed, and it was just, there was a lot. And so I tend to put a lot of myself onto the page anyway, but that whole project, I think, all of the folks who wrote for it, it is some of the most beautiful, evocative material I think that Paizo has put out. And I'm excited for people to see it. I'm excited for people to see the art. There's so many pieces that I would love to have a poster of. So that one is really fun. That one is really great.
And when
There are other
the
things.
title and release date is going to be.
It's a Lost Omens book, so it's Lost Omens: The Unseen World, and I don't know the exact date, but it's targeted for January.
All right.
So if you are a fan of lore as well as mechanics, there's some really good stuff in there to enrich your games. It's just lovely. It's really lovely. I'm currently working on something else that I definitely can't talk about, but let's just say I really identify with the rabbit hole
Hmm.
that one finds oneself in when researching. Um, so there's that, and I do have a couple of things that I'm in conversations about that I hope I can talk about more for 2027 and 2028, which that sounds like it should be much further away than it is.
I
Oh,
know.
that's the world we live in. That's. All
January
It's very
6th for the Unseen World, the official release date.
right.
Thank you, thank you. Um, yeah, that one is surreal for me on a couple of fronts. Also because I was originally the lead editor for it, and needless to say, that is something that somebody else has to step in and uh, finish seeing it through to the end. So that was a little heartbreaking for me to have to step away when it was still in
Yeah.
process. Um, but that's okay. That's okay. I've still got other things coming out that I was uh, edit lead for. So the Absalom Station, Center of the Galaxy book. That one I got to be edit lead on, and that one was a blast. I love the
Yeah.
cover. I love the art for that one. That's a lot of fun. Um, Pathfinder Quest, if folks haven't played it yet, that was the most ambitious thing that I've been the edit lead for to date.
Can you talk a little bit about that product?
Sure. Um, I mean, I don't even know where to start really because it's so different from the other things that Paizo's put out.
Uh-huh.
It's a board game that is a wonderful introduction to the world of Pathfinder. It's a great way to get started in, frankly, role gaming if you've never done it before and you're not sure what it's about. So it straddles that line between, you know, a conventional board game that you might be used to and the role gaming world of Pathfinder. It is replayable depending on the choices that you make and what the dice decide, your results are. Um, so it's not something that you buy once, play once, and then put on your shelf. You can go back to it and have different outcomes with a different group. So I love that. It is just immense. I don't know if you've seen the box for it. I have the deluxe version sitting on my shelf, and I want to say it weighs 12 pounds. It's
And it comes
gargantuan.
with a bunch of miniatures.
Yes, yes. Which of course you can use then for whatever
Right.
other game you want. But Jason and Joe, I think, did a fantastic job. Um, if anybody like me is a fan of choose your own adventure books, those were all the rage when I was a kid.
Uh-huh.
Um, Pathfinder Quest kind of hits a similar happy spot in my brain because there are there are choices to be made, and depending on what you choose, the story proceeds accordingly. And so it's a really nice way to try role gaming without feeling as overwhelmed as you might be if you're at a regular Pathfinder game where everything's open ended. You've got a little bit more guidance, a little bit more structure to it, but it is still responsive to what you do and what the dice tell you, and it's easy to set up, so you don't have to immerse yourself in lore and rules and stat blocks before you can ever play. you can pretty much open up the box and start playing.
Right. So is this a? So it sounds like this is a campaign style game, not like a sit down and play 90 minutes and the game is over. Although it's a
Um,
session might be. I mean, you come and you play for an evening like that.
it's I would say it kind of hits a middle ground in that yes, you can sit down and just play, but then the story continues potentially for another couple of game sessions. So it's like a I would compare it to a mini campaign. So depending on
It
how
looks
much you
to
want
me
to
like
play in any one day.
it looks to me like it's going to remind me of Descent for people that
That's what
played
I was
that.
about to ask for that as a comparison.
I've not played that, so I can't say.
Right.
But um, but it's a digestible thing. You know, let's say your regular gaming group had a cancellation, you can't play because you know your game master is not available. You could bring this out and play with very little prep, and have a blast for one night, 2 nights. You know, it's not going to be a months long commitment to the story. Um, and then if you want to go back to it later, you can replay it. Um, so yeah, you could do it in 90 minutes, but then the next chapter would be another
Right.
game session for the 90 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. Michael in chat says that hybrid form factor is kind of hot right now, and it has the last few years. There have been more and more games that have been coming out and having uh, that extended playability. Let's say that's a term I'm deciding is I'm going to use for it. Extended playability. You
Yeah,
can come and
yeah,
play it like a board game, but
yep,
it also has a extension where you can pick it up next week, or you
yeah.
could start in the middle instead of starting at the beginning. So lots of ways to go at it.
It's a really accessible, fun game, and I'm really excited about people finally getting it into their hands because as you can imagine, that's something that takes a long time
Uh huh.
from
Mm,
conception to publication, and then we had the crowdfunding, and that was so exciting to watch. I not even gonna lie, I was such a nerd watching the countdown, because it was backer kit. You can go on the backer train, and then it continues.
right.
So every time somebody extended the backer train, I was it was a lot of fun. So I'm really proud of that one. And I learned a lot. I love working on board games. It's not something I've done as much as I've worked on uh, books and adventures and things like that. But I love working on board games, and so being able to work with the Paizo Games part of the Paizo team, which is Joe and Jason. Um, that was so much fun. I mean, Monster Match was a blast to work on. Starfinder Infinity Deck, I love that. Um, they're all different. You learn something new.
And for those that don't know, that's Jason Bowman and Joe Piscini. And
Mm-hmm.
I am a huge Joe Piscini fan. He
Yes.
uh, he did Starfinder stuff with me for quite a while, and so I got to know him reasonably well. And he and Jason Keeley are both sort of uh, puzzle nerds. My wife suggests good at designing and playing with various kinds of puzzles. And Joe has really gotten into the complete game design space, which I think is a great fit for him. And I look forward to seeing
Mm-hmm.
more stuff he does.
So
Absolutely.
Michael in chat says uh, RPGs typically have an 18 to 24-month development cycle, correct? Ish. What is it on a board game? And that's it's yeah, the development cycle on RPG is really hard to put in a
Yeah.
single can. But
I mean, I am aware of complete RPGs with cycles as short as 6 months and as long as 10 years.
Right.
Hmm.
Yeah. But I think actually, I mean, I'm guessing that what he's mean is a product, an RPG product,
Oh,
as a development cycle.
if if there you're including original conception and pitch, um, 24 is a little long, I think. Like, Paizo tries to set its schedule 2 years in advance, but it does not always manage. Um, I think 20 is probably a more realistic long end. 18 is definitely too long for the short end. I would say 6 to 20 is, or even 3 to 20 is more appropriate, depending on, and it depends very much on size and scope, right? I mean, if you're talking about individual releases, for a while, Stan and I did a product a week every week, and a lot of those had a production cycle of 3 days. A couple of them had a production cycle of one day. So we're like,
It,
hey, do we have a
it
product for
also
tomorrow?
it also depends on if you're talking about that kind of thing versus an adventure versus a 122 page source book or a monster book. So I mean, yeah, we can paint in broad strokes, but the fact of the matter is that it varies widely. Um,
Yeah.
but the question is, if we're putting together a board game. What's a good development cycle? Do you think?
You know, I know the "it depends" answer is not satisfying, but really it does depend.
Right? Yeah.
Um,
No,
because something like Starfinder Infinity Deck, which is a card-based game, um, that has fewer components, far fewer components than something like
Yeah.
Pathfinder Quest.
yeah.
And the fewer components you have, the shorter the development cycle is going to be because there is just less to do. There's less to design. Uh, and speaking as an editor, it takes a lot less time to check all of that. Something like Monster Match is going to be, a little bit longer just because it's got completely different gameplay and it's got a few more components. It's not just cards, you've got other things as well. And all of that has to be designed, and you have to figure out things like how much does each component weigh? How are you going to package everything? Um,
Yeah.
these are things that you don't have to think about if you're shipping a book and you've shipped other books of that same size and scope a million times before. You already know that stuff. Um, but are you printing these components out of acrylic? Are you is it going to be clear? Is it going to be colored? Is it going to be all of these things take time to answer, and what seems like a minute difference can actually have a huge difference when you factor in how many of that component will there be in the box. How do you package that in the box? um,
Yeah.
I
I mean,
There's so
in
much
a
back end.
in a large company, I mean, people who are watching this are almost certainly familiar with the fact that when you're developing a game, you've got someone or ones who are going to fill the roles of writer, who are going to fill the roles of
Mhm.
editor. You're going to have someone else who's doing or who's doing art design or
Yep.
layout. Lynn's talking about there's a whole other person's job, a whole other full time person's job, which is to figure out the physicality and the creation and production and coordination of the physical
Mhm.
parts. It's a
I
whole
often
a
refer to that.
whole extra person's job, and all those hours that need to get lumped into what's going on to
Yep.
a
I
large.
often refer to that as the form factor. What what form is this going to take? And
Yeah.
how does that impact cost and sales and shipping? I remember when Joe Piscini and I were working on the Starfinder First Edition Beginners Box, which is closer to a board game in that it had a board and pieces and things that shipped with it. It wasn't just a book. Um, we spent a couple of hours sitting down going, okay, what order do we want these things put in this box? When you open
Mhm.
the lid, what is the first thing we want people to see? And what's the second thing we want them to see? And what's And once we came up with that, of course, it was someone else's job to actually talk to the printer and boxer to make sure that what we wanted was a thing they could do, and b a thing they would do, and that all worked. But I have never, if you're working on a book, you do want to worry about what goes in the foreword, what's in chapter 1, what's in chapter 2. But it's a very different concern than they take off the shrink wrap, the lid comes off. What do they see?
Yeah, when I was still at Wizards, before I got laid off the first time, so a long time ago at Wizards,
In the odds.
in the dawn of time, um, we were started doing a lot of market testing, particularly for beginner games, for introductory games, and trying to find a way to do kind of what you were talking about, Owen, there, what order things come out of the box, and how to make people have the experience in the way we want them to, so they will get the product. Right?
Uh-huh.
And presuming these are not gamers. And there's a lot of playing around with wrapping things separately, putting things that, open this first, and then
Yep.
putting a physical barrier between you and the thing. We don't want you to look at that yet. And, we found out two things. One, even in, mocking them up and having uh, um, two-way mirror testing, most people just pull everything open anyway. You can't stop them. And then the other thing we found out was how expensive any physical barrier like that, how much that adds to the bottom line, and you just can't afford to do it. The price, we came up with a package. I think this was the original version of the Star Wars TCG that Wizards was going to put out. They figured out a thing that worked, and then the price was so huge that there was no way they could possibly print that as a product, as a starter set. It was going to be something like $80, and that's Wizards. And Star Wars, which have huge sales numbers.
Yep.
Yeah. It's just a complicated thing, and there's so much that goes into it. Then I think even I had realized I'd see some of the conversations happening with other members of the team who are not necessarily in the creative unit, but this is their job to know this stuff, and I'm just so impressed with people who can do that work, because I do not have a brain for that, but they do, and we could not get these games out and to people without folks who are so talented in this type of thinking.
Yeah. No, when we went to Wizards from TSR, one of the best things we got was having a production team that would deal with that, because it used to be something that was factored. The creatives, we had kind of had a laundry list of this kind of component costs this much,
Mm-hmm.
and so we were putting together products based on that. It turned out that first of all, the information they gave was wrong. And second of all, it changed all the time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, saying, oh, well, putting in a map costs this much more than not putting in a map. Putting it in shrink wrap costs this much more. Well,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but if it's a two books shrink wrapped together, that's actually more than one book shrink wrapped. And
Yep.
Yeah.
no one really understood that, and so we wound up with a lot of products. There are a series of products that we put together, believing that the cost was something else, and no one told us that, because we said this is what the product's going to be, and so they made it, and it wasn't until and they didn't give us the real numbers afterwards. We never got to see the results. So it wasn't until we got to Wizards and they started allowing us to see the numbers that we saw how far off we were, and
I mean,
just
there
how
are
terrible.
specific TSR products that I'm told were bestsellers that lost a few cents per copy
Yeah,
for
yeah. No,
TSR.
the Dark Sun box set that had the cloth map.
Uh huh.
They put that in because they thought it was cool, and the single sheet of paper that they had told them that it cost this much. Well, it was way wrong, and it turned out that that box lost money with every sale.
Oof.
Yeah.
It's rough. It's rough. Um, I just I have just so much respect for everybody who works in any part of this industry because, like you said before, the margins are thin and things change
Kind
all
of
the
thin.
time. Yeah, but we love it and so we do it. I mean, I before I was in the game industry, I worked in higher education, and that's got its own thin margins. This
Yeah.
this feeds a very different part of me that it just makes me very deeply happy um, to be a part of. I don't know, bringing people some joy.
Yeah. I think one of the long-term impacts of working in the game industry is you get to sit around sometimes and think, well, at least I've made some people happy, or I've helped make some
Right.
people happy.
And every once in a while, out of nowhere, you get someone who gives you the just when you need it the most. Someone's, oh, you did this thing 15 years ago, and we still talk about it to this day.
Michael and Jack says he missed the beginning, so I don't know Lynn's background. Is she exclusively with Paizo? Not anymore.
Not anymore,
Lynn is
unfortunately.
Lynn is sadly one of the people that was hit in the round of layoffs caused by the Diamond fiasco. So she is currently available uh,
Yep.
to have conversations about editing and writing and developing and consulting. So by all means, Michael, if
Drop me a line.
you need work, if you need work done, she needs work to do.
Yep. And it's it's been fascinating spending 3 years just getting immersed in Pathfinder and Starfinder, and I love that. I mean, it's the truth when I say I was a fan before I was an employee, and I'm still a
Mm-hmm.
fan. I have no ill will about any of it because it's just it's finances and that happens. I love these games. But I've worked on other things too, and I love working on indie things. One of the things that I worked on, which is still in production because that often happens with independent things, is something that kickstarted. I want to say it's been about 2 years ago. It's called All the Witches, and that uses some really innovative mechanics, deck building mechanics, tarot mechanics, and that was a blast because I wasn't an editor for that, I was a writer. And I ended up writing an entire region for this world. So I want to say by the time that all was said and done, I have about 8 or 9,000 words for that game. And it's a full region, and there's a short adventure in there, and I came up with, landmarks and NPCs. And I love world building. That is some of my absolute favorite thing to do. And for that, I decided to tap into my distant Welsh heritage. So I went a little gas lamp fantasy, but instead of going with England, I went with Wales and dipped into that inspiration for magic and lore. And I really can't wait for that to see the light of day at some point because it's so different from what I had the chance to do before. And it's so fun. It's so fun. And there are all kinds of other regions in this world that I tried to build links with. So people will have a blast when they see it, but I'm just like counting down the days, waiting for it. Um, it's hard. And then I've done things that were 5e compatible. I don't know if you're familiar with the Monsters of Merca
Yes,
setting.
I am.
So I was one of the editors and primarily a writer for one of the books in the Monsters of Merca world, which is called Chromatic Gamut. And it's a queer, joyfully queer romp through the Merca world, specifically the Merca version of New York. Um, but the most meaningful thing that I did for that was I designed the Pantheon. And for Merca purposes, for this book, the Pantheon, they're all in the game, they're called icons. And they're all based on real world people who have since passed uh, and represent different domains. So I
We
got
lost
to
Owen.
honor. Oh
Hopefully he'll
no!
come back. Hopefully he'll come back.
So I hope so. So I got to honor people like Harvey Milk. I
Hmm.
included Freddie Mercury, folks that are more modern, folks that go far back, and build that in a way that was maybe less comical than the rest of the book because these are real people, and I wanted to show my
Right.
respect.
Right.
Um, I I get emotionally invested in the things that are right now. It's like, oh, it's so beautiful. I love it so much. I made Freddie Mercury a psychopomp
Yeah.
who travels on his favorite bicycle and is attended by his cats. And his
Perfect.
clergy are called rhapsodics.
Even more perfect.
I mean, how could you not have fun with that? So, um, as much as I've been immersed in Pathfinder and Starfinder, I will happily work on other game systems and game mechanics. It's just, it's fun. And it's a nice challenge. I love tackling something new because it's how I grow as an editor and as a creator.
So if you, now you're in the freelance pool with the rest of us. You,
Yep,
we take the work that comes along. But if you
yep.
could have a dream project for you now, what what would it be?
My dream project for right now. Um, so one of the things that I really have developed a love for, and it's probably not surprising given everything that's going on in the world, I really love hope punk, solar punk. I like things that are either cozy or offer just a bit of a hopeful respite from
Hmm.
everything. Speaking for myself, I go into a game, I don't want to necessarily always make the big depressing decisions. There's a place for that, and I love doing that, and that's fantastic. But I also really like the opportunity to create something that's going to give people a break or give that infusion of, okay, I can make it another week because I had a really wonderful game session today with my friends and it gave me the shot of, happy brain chemicals. Um, so one of the things I've been really looking at, and they cleaned up at the Ennies, was Legend in the Mist. I'm really interested in narrative games.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what can we do with the collaborative storytelling where it's not always about crunchy stat blocks, but about the characters. Um, so I think that is so different from what I've done before. I would love the opportunity to work on that kind of game. I do think that's where a lot of untapped potential awaits the industry. Um, I think we've been going in that direction for a while, and what Son of Oak has done and what Daggerheart and others have done, I think really speaks to that. So I would love to get into more narrative heavy games. That said,
Yeah.
I love all of it. You know, my first foray as a gamer, my spouse back in 2007 when we started dating, he said, "You know, I have this hobby and I think you would like it. And I'm starting a new campaign. Why don't you join?" And that campaign was Changeling the Dreaming.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a heck of an introduction to it. Still, 4 game sessions and I was hooked. But then after that, we did D&D 3.5 edition, and I think that is still my favorite campaign that I ever played.
Yeah.
Um, we played from total fresh character level 0 up to 20, and then after that game ended, we were kind of on a break with the rest of the group, and so he ran me in a solo uh, sequel campaign that went into epic levels. And
Nice.
so I took that character up to level 30. All things totaled, I played that same character almost every week for 5 years.
Nice.
And if anything made me a dedicated gamer, it was that campaign. I know that character so well, I could still tell you all about her. Yeah. Never got fan art made, never got art made for some reason. It never occurred to me. I may do that at some point down the road. Um, and so that was great. The epic sword and sorcery, and, oh my gosh.
What kind of campaign was it? What kind of? Hey, Owen,
Um,
I see that you're in the chat. Are you going to try and come back in? I've got a box open for you over on the left side of the screen.
we would like to see your face. It was so. One of the reasons I kind of perked up when I heard the announcement about Greyhawk coming back, it was a Greyhawk setting, um, and it was. So my husband is a voice actor by training, and so long before we had Critical Role doing it, I was spoiled that I had a game master who could bring voices to all the characters, and we would play for on average 8 hours per game session, and he would just, it was so immersive, it was wonderful, and it hit all of the major I would say classical tropes. So he
Right.
said, "You've never played D&D before, you'll probably have the easiest time wrapping your head around it. It's cliche, but be a human fighter." And so that's what I did. I was a human fighter, and the whole like, oh, um she loses her father in like episode 1 of this sweeping story, and goes on to these grand adventures, and she comes to find out what her actual heritage is. It was everything you could have hoped for. And by the time all was said and done, at the end of level 30, I'm going to try to remember how he summed it up. It was something like, and I'm not going to do it justice, it was something like, and so, something like the brave princess, saved the dragon and defeated the evil knight. So kind of twisted on it. So by the time I
Right.
was done with that campaign, the sequel campaign, I had 25 levels in fighter, 5 levels in dragon rider. Her best friend was a dragon, and it was just, for a fantasy nerd, it was everything I could have wanted. It was just great. So,
I'm just saying. So
ah,
Owen cannot get back in. He seems to be having problems similar to the ones that you had earlier.
yeah, it's that
Um,
kind of a day.
oh,
But
tech problems. Oh, tech problems.
but no tornado, thank goodness. Knock
But
on
no
wood.
tornado. You know what? I'll take this over tornado 8 days a week. Um,
And I say that as I'm sitting in Indiana, and we've had something like 80 tornadoes come through so far this year.
um, no one wants to know what Dragon Rider class were you using?
You know what? I'd have to go back and look it up. I don't remember the specifics. I want to say it was a prestige class. Um, so I might be getting the name slightly wrong because it's been probably 15 years.
All right. Hold on a sec, Lynn. I'm going to try and make a shift here so that now it looks like it's just me. But if I change this here, we can have you there. And although it says Owen Stevens below you, or Lynn M. Meyer, I can change that too. Look at all this going on. It's Lynn M. Meyer or Myers?
No S.
Meyer.
Yep.
Like that. Hey, look.
Perfect.
Gave you your name back. Um, it's Stan, before you sign off, be sure to mention Ed Greenwood's The Black Skull Laughs. Shadow Dark compatible adventure going live on Backer Kit tomorrow.
Ooh.
That. Owen, why should I mention that? Besides the fact that, it's Ed Greenwood, and that's awesome. It's it's a wonderful, wonderful guy. Deeply strange. Wonderful, wonderful man.
It's been my experience that most of the interesting people in the world are at least a little strange.
I hope I am.
I I am old enough that I can confidently say now I'm finally more who I actually am than when I was younger because
Yeah.
There's always that pressure to be normal. And I'm like, I'm not, Be weird, be yourself, be authentic. The right people will like you.
Oh, Owen says I should mention it because it's going to make both him and me some money. So, okay, yeah, good reason to mention it. Black Skull Laughs going live on Backer Kit tomorrow. Don't forget it. Oh, good. Owen assures me I am strange.
Awesome.
Yes.
I'm just so pleased to hang out and talk with you both. So really, really, it's been such a pleasure.
Well, it's really good to have you here. And, like I say, to meet you. There's as we were talking about before, going to Gen Con and other conventions, my world was always expanding. I was constantly meeting the, 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 the folks out on the fringes and the new people coming in. And I've been lucky enough, right, to have been successful enough that people will seek me out, which means I get to add more people to my network, and that is a big change. Have you seen or do you know about the Riverbank RPG from Kobold Press?
No, tell me more.
It is a cozy, uh, anthropomorphic kind of inspired. One of the major inspirations is Wind in the Willows,
Okay.
and it's set in a kind of idyllic British countryside kind of thing with animals that are. I mean, they're still animals. They're tiny little animals, but they act like humans. And
Yeah.
it was a very, very Wind in the Willows. It was put out by Kobold Press last year. I don't.
Okay.
I know it's up for Ennies. I don't know how the Ennies turned out. It's written by Hugo and other major fiction award that's blanking on winner Kiz Johnson.
Okay.
And they have been talking about going back and doing more stuff. If you don't know about it, I'm sure they still have. Well, I guess I'm not sure. I would bet they still have the free preview, kind of PDF that you can download. And I know Kobold is always looking for qualified editors. Definitely worth reaching out to
Hey,
them. Tell them
you know,
Stan sent you. And Owen.
I, uh, I, I have to say, I love the thought of playing as essentially an awakened animal. I'll just call it like that. Um, I was on a Pugmire actual play, and that is
Ugh.
D&D, but set in the world of dogs and cats. and I played their version of a cleric. I was a corgi cleric, and that was so fun. Um, just to be like, how would I do this? But oh, I'm not a human, I'm a dog. And thinking about the specific short little legs and so forth about a corgi, I had a blast. I had a blast, and I've always wanted to play in a Humblewood campaign. Haven't had the chance to do
Yeah.
that yet. So this sounds like something I also really need to add to my to play list because
Yeah.
it's very Lynn coded.
Have a look. Michael in chat says he has a totally legal extra PDF copy that he would be happy to share with you if you like.
I
So we said
would be
before
grateful.
your way to contact you is Lynn-M-Meyer
Dot card
dot.
CARRD.co. So if you type in my name and you type in card, the link will pop up. I've also got it on my Blue Sky, so the link is there.
Same thing,
Um,
Lynn-M-Meyer on Blue Sky. All right,
yep,
good
yep, pretty
suggestion.
much.
Now, Lynn, I'm gonna. I was about to take the conversation further. I'm starting to get more weird messages uh, the the Ecamm site, which tells me that things may be getting unstable, and maybe we can just wrap. When we're going about 2 hours, we could go longer. I don't. I like hanging out on couches, but I think it might be time before we end with a crash to try
Yep.
and land a plane.
Okay.
Um, so, before we go, we just gave your contact again. We'll say it again. Lynn, Lynne
Yep.
-M Meyer, Meyer. That's
Mm-hmm.
at .card.co,
.co.
or
Mm-hmm.
on most of the all of your social media where you are on Blue
Yeah.
Sky and
Yeah, I mostly hang out on Blue Sky.
okay.
That's the easiest place to find me. Um, I really don't use X. I
Hmm.
parked my profile so nobody can steal my account name,
Yeah.
but I don't use it. So Blue Sky, Facebook, Instagram, but Blue Sky is the reliable place to find me. Um, so
Owen
yeah,
says,
and you know the thing about my name is lots of people forget the E at
yeah,
Lynn, or they add an S on. One of my favorite things about my name is that it's symmetry. It's got its symmetry.
right?
So there's 5 letters and 5 letters. If you don't have 5 letters in both, something's wrong.
Yeah, no, Meyer's one of those names that there are about 6 different ways to spell it.
Yeah, yeah.
What you
So
gonna do?
what
Um,
you gonna do? I've survived them all.
all right, well, Lynn, thank you for stopping by on the couch. I know Owen is sorry that he can't be here for the wrap up too, but it's been great hanging out and chatting and closing out Gen Con with you.
It's such a pleasure. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for having me on the couch.
Yeah, well, maybe I can have you back on for. Owen and I are talking about doing more convos on the couch on a semi regular basis, or maybe we can have you back on, or maybe I can have you on one of the other shows. Maybe I do a Wednesday show called 50 Years in the Dungeon. So
Very
we'll
cool.
see.
And you know, I'm hoping that at some point sooner rather than later, maybe I'll have good news. I don't know.
That'd be
Now that
great.
everybody's
Oh, you
going
have
back,
something to announce? Come on and
well,
announce it.
I mean, here's the reality: is everybody's been busy with Gen Con. The job search realistically is paused while Gen Con season is in full
Yeah.
swing. So, um, I don't know what's going to come this autumn. I hope I will have good things to announce soon, but you never know. In the meantime, stop by, say hi, send me
Yeah.
work. Thank you so much. And
All
thank you
right.
to everybody hanging out in chat.
Thank you. I will take you off screen and talk to you soon, I hope.
Sounds good.
Right.
Thanks.
Okay, so now it's just me because Owen's gone and Lynn's gone, and it's 2 hours. And it's time to wrap up. Thank you everyone for coming and hanging out on the couch with us here at Convo on the Couch. We have wrapped up Gen Con is now a good hour close, the end of the show. Everyone, as we talked about before, has gone off. Well, they're probably breaking down their booths, and that's a kind of its own misery. But it's a joyful misery because you know relaxation and dinner is coming soon. So thank you everyone for coming in. Um, Sorry, I'm looking. Only months it ended H L Y T and R. Oh well, that's a good limit. Thank you, Owen. Mm. And I'm just trying to find the thing that. Oh. Yes, and you want to look at the Black Skull Laughs Shadow Dark compatible adventure that's going to be up on BackerKit starting tomorrow from Ed Greenwood. The Black Skull Laughs. Go check it out. It's going to be awesome, and it's going to make me and Owen a little bit of money if it succeeds too. So that's a bonus. Uh, I personally will be back on Wednesday this week with a new episode of 50 Years in the Dungeon, and back on Thursday with a new episode of Random Encounters. And I don't know exactly what's happening on either of those, so I can't tell you more. I want to thank everyone for hanging out. Owen, thank you for coming and being my guest. Oh, my guest. Thank you for being my co-host and letting me do this other thing. I love doing it. You and I should do more convos on the couch in any month that ends in any letter. And we can bring more guests on just for random conversations. Gen Con's done. This show is done. I'm going to go have some lunch. So thank you, everyone.